All right, everybody. Anybody who's listening to this on anything but YouTube, welcome to my first podcast. Everybody on YouTube, I just made an Anchor. You can listen. I'll post a link whenever it posts because it posted on iTunes, Spotify, all of those places, pending approval. If I read that thing correctly and understand it correctly. Once that ever happens, I will be dropping a link and adding it to this video. So if you'd rather just listen to it, if you're one of those people that was to the car like me, probably want to go ahead and subscribe to me on Anchor or whatever platform it makes it to. I will clear it up once everything goes well. But today we're going to talk about the Second Amendment, gun rights, anti-gunners, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the Second Amendment itself. Because there's always the controversy of what it means. It was made back then, all that stuff. So I'll go ahead and I'll read it. It goes, a well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. Now, I made it a point to say all the commas because a lot of people overlook that, miss those, and try to, well, this is here, and then, we'll get around to that. But what I did was, I went and reworded it with took three or four of the words and placed the definition there as opposed to how it is. Because there's always, like, they point to a regulated militia. Where's your militia? So I'm going to just go ahead and took militia, you'll hear it when I say it. A well-governed body of citizens, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be violated / made obsolete. Now I wrote / at the end of it because when I looked up infringed, that was the best I could do is putting that there. I would have just went with violated, but I wanted to make a point to put made obsolete. And the reason I did that is because we already know, violated is very, it's just common. People understand it. But I also put made obsolete because that attests to when people say you should just let cops have guns and that's it. Well, if you're saying give cops guns but then take everybody else's, well, you have just made it obsolete at that point. So that's how I interpreted that and put that there. So that's why I feel like that was important. But let's break it down before we get into the other arguments that I hear people. And I got a few points. I watched about 3 hours worth of anti-gun YouTube. So all the pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment people, I went through a lot of hell for this. So a well-regulated militia, right? So that being a militia being a body of citizens, right? Now, I'm not a historian, so don't say that I think that I feel like I know all of the rights and rules and all that stuff. I don't. I'm not trying to claim to. So if you want to take points away, fine, whatever. But a well-regulated militia, a well-governed body of citizens. Are we a well-governed body of citizens? Obviously, you say no, right? Because the way we say politics work, we say government doesn't. It's all money-based and people buy votes and all this stuff. So, look, if that's an argument for you, okay, that would not be the people who own guns' fault. So you would be taking something away from somebody because somebody else fucked up, which is a common theme. I'm obviously, if it's not obvious by now, I am pro-Second Amendment. But it's a common theme where we hear, oh, somebody else screwed up. You need to not have yours. So we're taking yours. Really extremely disagree with that. Right? And then the part where it gets to being necessary to the security of a free state. Now, when I looked up free state, and I didn't replace it here because it involved, the only thing I could see was it mentioned slavery, and I didn't want to do the whole, slavery thing. Not, at least not in that way. I wanted to be able to explain it live. So that's the very, very key thing, free state. So everybody doesn't have to succumb to the will of the government just because the government said so. I know this is probably people who understand the Second Amendment are probably going to cringe, but this is the best I could do with my whatever. But you have to be able to challenge the government, right? And if the government if they have the only lethal force, what challenging can you do? You can't. It's at that point, it's not a free state. If you say take your guns and then let them keep it, it's not a free state. It's not. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. Now, this is the part where I guess anti-gunners can have a point. What does the right to keep and bear arms mean? Right? Does it mean you can, somebody used the example of having a sawed-off shotgun, public safety, all that stuff. Okay, I would understand. I would be willing to have the discussion if the other side wasn't so far away. I would be willing. But we're going to get to that later. I'm going to do that at the end. But I would understand if we came to some form of a middle ground, but I know that can never happen because where both sides stand. But again, I'll do that at the end. Shall not be of friends, shall not be violated or made obsolete. I went over that already, so I won't be doing it again. The next thing I want to do is go over this. I took the most popular recent shootings, which is the Sandy Hook and the Joker movie theater guy shootings. And I wouldn't do this because people, they say, if we get rid of assault rifles, which what they mean is, what they're supposed to be saying, assault rifle is a rapid fire shooting gun made for infantry use, I think is the definition. But automatic guns are banned. Not a ban I'm a fan of, obviously, but that is what they're supposedly saying when they say assault rifles. But let's say you only want to have what Joe Biden says, just get a shotgun. Let's say we only had shotguns, we only had pistols, right? So the Sandy Hook guy, he killed 26 people, 20 of them were kids, right? The movie theater guy killed 12 people, he injured 70. 4 of those were from tear gas. So, do you ban tear gas? You can make tear gas, I think, fairly easy. I've never tried, but I'm pretty sure you can do it fairly easy. And then, it's not funny, it's a tragedy, but it's 8 people got injured from trying to run away. So, but those were included in the numbers. Now, the one I'm going to take example of is the Sandy Hook, because I think it's the only one. At this point, now that I'm doing it live, I think this is the only one that really matters. So let's say, I'm going to use myself as an example, as I like to do. Let's say I go to the exact same school, right? And instead of him that day, it's me that day, right? I go into the school, and let's say I don't get racially profiled as a big black guy. I walk into the door, and all I have, I walk in, I get to a classroom, and all I have is a shotgun and a handgun, right? And I close the door, and I only have one clip in the handgun, one clip full of bullets, and the shotgun, let's say, is a DP, which ironically, and I didn't even realize before I made it, the only 2 guns that I own are a shotgun and a handgun. So I'm not even a super gun enthusiast, really. But the only 2 I own is a shotgun and a handgun, which, if you made this law, I still have them. A shotgun, it was double pump, so you can shoot 2 rounds before I have to pump it. And then the handgun is semi-automatic or fully semi-automatic. And it, you know, pull the trigger, boom, pull the trigger, boom. So let's say I get to the class, I close the door, you know, let's say I start with the shotgun. You know, boom. It held, and by the way, it holds 16 rounds. Okay, 16 rounds. So let's say I walk in, close the door. Now, you have several types of teachers, but I'm going to say two, because to make it simple. I understand it's oversimplifying it, but to make it simple, we have two types of teachers, right? One is a lazy teacher, sits there and do it on their phone and give their kids busy work. Two, a teacher who's really actually into teaching, and she's teaching, she's helping kids. She may even be assisting an individual alone. So I walk in, I close the door, boom, teacher gone. Boom, another kid going. Now you got 14 left. And how many times do you think I can go? And remember, this is elementary school. These are little kids. So how many times do you think I can go? Boom, 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 until I empty 16 bullets out of the clip. How many times? How many times do you think I can do? I could realistically get the entire chamber of the shotgun empty, right? So let's say after there's, and I'm pretty sure it's nationwide. So in Michigan, to a classroom, there are about 30 kids to a classroom on average. You know, 25, 30. And he killed 26 people, 20 kids. So 16, one was a teacher. So let's say it was only 25. There's 10 kids left. So, and remember, these are little kids. They're not going to be the fastest reactants of a tragedy going wrong. So you have what, 10 left? If I'm doing the math correctly, you have 10 left. Now let's say we went ahead with the ban of certain, you know, clips that hold so many bullets. So let's say I only got the 10 bullet clip and a gun. I finish off the 10. Do you really think I can't finish off the 10 kids? Do you really think that? So when y'all make the argument of, oh, you shouldn't be able to get a rifle, which really is, you know, to dumb it down, pro gunners, forgive me, to dumb it down, a long handgun. It's a really long handgun. If you dumb it down. So they're performing the same action. So you wanted me to only have the handgun. Again, handguns and shotguns, I just accomplished the same thing the same hood guy accomplished. Now, let's say, and this reason I want to do this example is because now, if we went along with those gun laws, this would happen, and then you go, no, fuck this. Screw this. I'm going to try not to cuss. Hopefully, I don't know if that is grounds for approval or not. So, so let's say this is going to happen, and people are going to say, you know, screw that. We need to just go ahead and get rid of all guns, all of them, period. None of them should be allowed. All of them, ban all of them. Okay, so now we are down to a knife, right? Or are knives legal? So let's say I get my hunter's knife or my assault knife, and I go the same day, instead of a handgun and shotgun, I go to the same school, get inside the building, go to the classroom, close the door. The teacher's reaction isn't immediately going to be, oh, let me call somebody real quick. It's going to be, what are you doing here? Who are you here to see? How did you? Nobody told me. It's not immediately going to be, hell, unless she's scared of black guys. But, you know, I go for her first. Again, this is elementary school. If you understand, if you've ever been in the classroom, you know, especially elementary school teachers, they love putting a horde of crap in front of their windows. Them kids is not getting out the window fast enough if they even think, instead of panicking, they even think to go out that window. So I have this entire class at my mercy of children. Now, if they're screaming and all that, okay, the immediate reaction of others surrounding classrooms, if they hear it, is going to be, maybe they heard it, there's a surprise there, or they're having some type of fun activity. There's going to be a handful of seconds where, come on, I can get And people, I'm not fetishizing this. I'm trying to give an example. So don't say, you really, you're here fetishizing. Please don't do that, okay? So let's say I realistically can get, at the very minimum, out of the 25 kids, I can get 20. They're children. So what did you really stop with getting rid of? My point is, I can do this, the Sandy thing. And that alone, we didn't even get to where he only killed 12 but injured 70. Because y'all are talking about deaths, right? So the bigger one is the Sandy Hook. I can accomplish that. Most people can. So what are you really solving with the gun ban? Any gun ban you want to do, any gun control. You're just making yourself feel better because, okay, well, it's not gun violence, it's just violence. And then I'm going to use that as a segue to this point where, and Piers Morgan really bugs me when he debates people with this. He is, well, guns can fire off like so many a minute. Okay? So when people make the argument with in respect of, oh, we want to limit how many people you can kill. Again, you don't think we should focus on trying to get people or get our country in a state where people want to kill less? That's not the focus. We just want to limit the people you can kill. Even though I just showed you, you can kill 20, 25, 30 people, depending on who you choose to target without a gun. Again, they've made this argument before, which when you ban guns in certain places, violence remains. It may even go up, but with different weapons. So I can't get with they shoot too many rounds. That doesn't, no. Then we need to keep our kids safe. Banning guns isn't going to keep your kids safe. Why do you think this? You're clearly not thinking, and you're clearly just going on what you heard. Now, I've only even been interested in this debate for like 6 months, maybe 8. And before, after one of these tragedies, I had a job working at this place, and we were in the break room on the news. They were talking about one of the tragedies, and one guy responded to somebody saying, "Take the guns. We ain't taking my gun. Neither. Why don't you give those teachers the guns?" I'm still not even for that. I'm not for you just giving people the guns to solve gun problems. I'm not even for that. All right, so I'm not this maniac that's like everybody needs to have one. So that argument isn't going to work. Buying guns, they should make guns harder to get. Here's the problem with that. When you bring this up, you're not saying that you're not telling me how you're going to make it harder for that individual, but not harder for me. And that ties directly into, aren't kids' lives more important than you owning a gun? No. Listen, if you want to have a compassion argument for compassion, argument to be nice, argument to have empathy and all this stuff, listen, you're going to win every time. I'm not some person who has all those. I'm not. Never killed anybody either. Wanted to, didn't. I've owned my handgun for about 6 years now. Outside the gun range, never shot it. Never took it out of the holster. And I've carried it into the liquor store, in convenience stores with me that don't ban them. I've never attempted to point it at anybody or anything like that. So you telling me that me taking my gun away is going to solve a problem? It's not. That's why I can't get on board with that. And by the way, you tell me that you don't respect my right to my life because you don't know if I'm going to need that or not. I live, like a lot of people, in a place where you could become, someone could try you. Someone could try something. Break-ins, carjackings, all this stuff. Hell, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, matter of fact, 10, 12, 15 years ago, in my cousin's neighborhood, there was this family that lived on his block, and they were known. These 2 summers, they were known for breaking in people's houses in the daytime. They wouldn't even wait until in the daytime because everybody was either at work or here and there. They would do this in the daytime. There's one particular day, one of the younger ones, this dude was 11, right? And he climbed up to the 2nd story to break into this old lady's house. And somebody didn't do their recon properly because she was there, and she started him while he was climbing into the window, and he fell. Well, at least that was that shit. She probably kicked him. But let's say, instead of that little boy, let's say that was me, right? I broke into her house, and I realized it was just her there. If she doesn't own a gun and I'm violent enough, I got the kahunas to do it, she's at my mercy for whatever I want to do. But if she was a gun owner and I had made it into there, if she has a gun on her, she can take me out. An old lady can take me out. So, do you really care about people's lives when you say this? Because you're only focusing on the emotional effect that your words have, and not the reality of what you're saying. There. Weapons of war do not belong on the street. Matter of fact, yes, I'll stay with that one since I already said it. Okay, so I'll use Ben Shapiro's example. Matter of fact, I'll use his and then I'll segue to mine. Where Ben Shapiro says, if you want to take my child I'm not sure if he says for any reason, but he definitely says for reasons that are unjust, which the United States does seem to have. Child Protective Service and all that. People make a call, police show up at your door, says he'll shoot you. You're not taking this kid. But let's keep my example keeps it to guns, right? So let's say Governor Gretchen Whitmer. I hate Gretchen. The way she governs and is not relevant, but let's say she says, we're taking all guns, mandatory buyback, right? Now, if she has a mandatory buyback and I don't comply, do you think she's just going to say, oh, well, we tried? No, she's going to send her people with guns to come get mine. What is that? What is that? That is a war at that point. You may not think so. You may not think that it's necessary, but it is a war, people. That is a war. So, weapons of war do belong in the hands of the citizens or on the street. They absolutely do. Because the government is telling you. They have the balls to tell you, but because you don't want the guns, you prefer the government, you agree with it, you don't hear it that way. When they say, we will take your guns, I forget the dude's name, we will take your guns, we will make it so you don't have this. That's a war right now. You want to take something that I want to give you, and you sent people who have guns to my door. That is a war. So I should have a weapon of war. And then this suicide thing. Well, why are you using a suicide argument to take my gun? That doesn't even make sense. Really? Oh, because Joe, he might kill himself, so we want to ban all guns. What? What? Listen, I gotta ask y'all something. You know what? Never mind. Forgot. Anyway, so this point where I hear people say we should track where guns are. We do it for cars. Why shouldn't we do it for guns? They want to know how many you have and that I should be limited. Okay. First of all, re-register cars. I'm only okay with the registering cars as a tax for the roads. Now, the way we register cars here, I don't like. Just tell me you want me to pay a tax on every car that I own every year for the roads. I don't like that I have to register the car. But again, I understand that, well, I mean, how else are we going to know you have the car? Fine. I get it. Fine. But to say track where the guns are, you don't need, you might want to know if I have a gun. But again, why would you want to know if I have a gun if you feel uneasy? Over 90% of people who own guns don't commit these crimes. So why would you want to be at ease and then want me to tell you something that will put you not at ease? Why would you want that? And then you want to limit how many I have. Why? What difference does it make? Again, if let's say I do get into a war with the government and I run a militia, or me and a group of people, a collection of citizens, that limiting us is infringing, violating our right to keep and bear arms. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? Hell, when y'all say ban automatic guns, the fully automatic, I honestly, and this is probably, I'm probably going to wrap it up after this, but I don't even think that first of all, pro-gun people, pro-Second Amendment people, I think that we take way too much flack, and I think we're way too easygoing. They like to say that we are, but I think we're way too easygoing. Because the banning of the type of firearm you can own as a citizen should have never happened. Because again, if they can overpower you because they have just way better equipment, can you really form a well-regulated militia? Can you? I don't think so. It doesn't. If you're telling me that they have these guns that come in, firing all this stuff, and you make the case, people, that those types of guns, you can kill way too many people. Okay. So if my militia is going against the government, or all our militias, we get into another war with them, well, they can just fire off and kill a whole bunch of people so easily. You have made us, our militia, obsolete. So you say, where's your regulated militia? Well, we can't have one. You don't want us to have one because what percent of the guns kill what percent of people? That's not suicide. What percentage of the guns kill what percent of people? And what percentage of guns are illegal? Y'all never want to ask that question. When we try to have these, when I watch these debates, these back and forths, it's simply, no, you shouldn't, you should care about lives more than, your gun. And you just not even, you don't even want to have the conversation. But with that, if you listen all the way through, thanks for listening to my podcast. I'm going to make sure that I do one every single Sunday, so look out for it. Well, I'm not exactly sure now at this point how long it takes to upload, because I'm very new to this. But those of you on YouTube, I am going to make sure that I also post the video recording on YouTube. So again, you're still going to get it every Sunday. So again, thanks for listening. And this is Mr. Negative. Be right, not positive. I'm out.